Single black dad buys diapers with last dollar. The lonely CO behind him says, "I'll take them all. You're short by 87. The cashier's voice cut through the hum of the Brooklyn supermarket like a slap of cold air. Marcus Green froze. His hand hovered over the counter, offering the last of his change, 3 quarters, a nickel, and a few faded pennies. In the cart, his daughter Layla began to cry. It was the tired, hungry cry that made strangers shift uncomfortably. Strapped into a scuffed plastic seat, her little legs kicked the air, cheeks sticky from half a cracker. Marcus forced a weak smile. "Can you take the wipes off?" "You didn't buy wipes," the cashier said flatly. Of course. He hadn't. Just one item lay on the belt, a single pack of off-brand size 3 diapers. That was all he could afford, or thought he could. He dug in his pocket, pulled out 2 dimes and a bent penny. Still short. Behind him, someone muttered, "Shouldn't have kids if you can't afford them." Marcus crouched by the cart, pretending to fix Layla's blanket while his hands searched for anything. Receipts, lint, hope. Finally, his fingers brushed a quarter. He smiled at Layla. "Almost, baby. Almost." A penny slipped from his grasp, clinking to the floor. He bent down, knees aching, retrieved it like treasure. He set it on the counter. Still 87 short. His mouth opened, ready to say, "Put them back." Then a calm voice behind him, "I'll take them all." Marcus turned. A woman stood with quiet composure. Early 30s, tall, soft curls falling over a cream coat. Her basket held baby food, a stuffed giraffe, organic shampoo. "I'll cover his items," she told the cashier. She looked at Marcus. "Please." Layla's cries softened to hiccups. The woman smiled at her, then added, "And a pack of wipes. And some fruit pouches." Marcus's chest tightened, not from stress this time but from a mix of gratitude and shame. He tried to speak. She raised a hand gently. "You don't owe me anything," she said. "She deserves to go home clean and full." Marcus met her eyes. Not pity, not superiority, just quiet understanding. He swallowed, nodded. Behind them, the line had fallen silent. Maybe some still judged. But none of that mattered. A stranger had stepped in, not for guilt or attention, but because she saw someone worth helping. What Marcus didn't know was that this woman had already crossed paths with him once before. And soon she would again. If you believe the world needs more moments like this, if you believe in compassion without conditions, tap that hype button. It helps us share these stories with more hearts just like yours. Marcus stared at the receipt as the cashier handed it to the woman. He didn't move. His hand tightened around the shopping bag she had just paid for. Diapers, wipes, fruit pouches, even a small plush giraffe for Layla. He felt the weight of each item in his chest as much as in the bag. He turned slowly. His eyes were tired, not from lack of sleep but years of quiet survival. He looked straight at her. "I'm not a beggar," he said. It wasn't protest or anger, it was a wound. The words came low and raw. Selena James didn't flinch. She looked at him with calm recognition. "I know," she said gently. "I never thought you were." Marcus looked away, trying to steady his breath. Kindness always made him uneasy, it usually came with strings. But Selena's voice softened. "When I was a baby there were days I went without diapers too. I remember the cold, the smell. I remember how people looked at my mother when she asked for help. So I don't give out of pity. I give because I know the feeling." That stopped him. His eyes flicked back, surprise breaking through the hardness. For a moment he said nothing. Layla let out a small laugh, reaching for the giraffe poking from the bag. Marcus steadied the cart, then gave Selena a small nod. Not defeat, just respect. "Thank you," he murmured. She smiled, subtle, steady. He turned the cart and headed for the exit. The automatic doors slid open to the cool evening air. At the lot's edge, Marcus paused near the clearance bins. He pulled out the bright red fruit pouch Selena had added. Strawberry banana, probably organic, overpriced. He stared at it, then walked back inside and set it carefully on the shelf. He kept the diapers, the wipes, the giraffe, things Layla truly needed. The snack they could do without. His rule was simple: take only what you cannot give back. Outside, he strapped Layla into the worn car seat of his dented pickup. She babbled happily, clutching the giraffe. Marcus sat behind the wheel for a long moment. He hadn't expected anyone to help him tonight. He hadn't expected her. In the mirror, Layla grinned at her reflection, waving the toy like a trophy. Marcus exhaled a breath he'd been holding all day. He didn't know the woman's name, she hadn't given it, and he hadn't asked. But her face stayed with him. Calm, kind, familiar. He turned the key. The engine coughed, then caught. As he pulled from the lot, He whispered to himself, just loud enough for Layla not to hear, "I'm not a beggar." And for the first time in years he believed it. The view from the 32nd floor of James' baby headquarters stretched across the skyline. Glass and steel shimmered in the morning sun, reflecting a city Selena James had helped shape. But her office was quiet. Too quiet. She stood at the window, fingers turning a small, worn silver locket. The chain was frayed, the metal dulled. She had held it 1,000 times, out of habit, out of pain. Inside the latch, etched in shaky letters, J. Green. A knock broke the silence. "Come in," she said without turning. Margaret, her longtime assistant, entered with a stack of papers. "Board reports for Midtown," she said, then paused. "You're holding that locket again." Selena smiled faintly. "Do I always do that?" "Only when you're thinking about the fire." "I dreamed it again," Selena said quietly. "I was 7. The orphanage was burning. They said it was an accident. I never believed them. Most kids got out. I didn't." She turned slowly, the locket between her fingers. "Smoke everywhere. I crawled under the bed. Then someone kicked the door in. A boy, maybe 10, dirty jacket. He threw it over me, picked me up, said, 'I got you. You're safe now.' Then carried me out. They never found him. All I had was this." Margaret nodded. "You've been searching ever since." "Not openly. But in my heart, yes." That afternoon, Selena visited Hope and Hands, a nonprofit funded by James' baby. She came often, quietly, no press. At the desk she stopped. A man stood there, toddler in his arms, signing a clipboard. Grease on his jeans, boots worn, posture steady. The little girl giggled, clapping. Selena's heart caught, the baby from the supermarket. The man turned. It was him. Their eyes locked. "I didn't expect to see you again," Selena said. Marcus nodded. "Neither did I. But thank you. Layla's doing better." "She's beautiful," Selena smiled. "We're just here for diapers. They said Thursdays." "I know," she said. "I fund this place." Marcus looked surprised, then nodded. Selena hesitated. "Do you still work on cars?" "Yeah. Side jobs when I can. Mostly cash." "We've got vans at James' baby," she said. "Always breaking down. If you're interested, I could set up a contract. Flexible hours, fair pay." His eyes narrowed. "Because I'm broke?" "No," she said softly. "Because you're capable. And I think you deserve a break." He held her gaze, then shifted Layla to his other arm. "I'll think about it. That's all I ask." Marcus walked out. Selena stood still, pulse louder than it should have been. She hadn't asked his last name. Not yet. But something about him stayed, his voice, his presence like smoke. She looked at the locket in her palm. "J. Green," she whispered. The garage behind James' baby's warehouse was nothing fancy, oil-stained floors, flickering lights, battered tool chests, delivery vans in disrepair. But to Marcus Green it felt like purpose. For the first time in a long while he had a routine. Each morning he arrived early, Layla nestled in a second-hand baby carrier against his chest, sleeping soundly as he worked. The rhythm of wrenches soothed her. Marcus tracked every bolt, every belt. He never padded hours, never lied about repairs. People noticed, especially Selena. One Thursday she stepped into the garage unannounced. The scent of motor oil hit her instantly, but she smiled through it. Her heels clicked softly on the concrete as she crossed the bay. Marcus was crouched beside a van, sleeves rolled, grease on his arms. Layla sat nearby in the hollow of an old tire, giggling, waving a piece of brake line like a wand. "Is that safe?" Selena asked, smiling. Marcus looked up, surprised. "No fluid. She's fine. Just testing her lunar landing gear." Selena stepped closer. Layla was surrounded by makeshift controls, 2 small wheels for a cockpit, tubing for a horn. "She said she wants to go to the moon," Marcus added. "This is her training module." Selena laughed, genuine, unguarded. Marcus felt something stir. It had been years since he'd heard laughter like that, soft, honest, from someone who meant it. A week later, Selena returned. But this time there was no laughter. Marcus was pacing outside the garage, Layla limp in his arms. Her cheeks flushed, forehead damp. "She's burning up," he said, panicked. "Was going to take her to the clinic, but my truck won't start." Without hesitation, Selena unlocked her car. "Get in." Marcus climbed in, silent except for Layla's whimpers. Selena drove fast but careful. At the clinic, she handled paperwork while Marcus never left Layla's side. The doctor said it was only a fever, simple, not dangerous, but enough to shake any parent. Outside on a bench, waiting for the prescription, Marcus cleared his throat. "Thank you." His voice cracked. It came from deep inside. Selena didn't smile, just nodded. "You're welcome." Layla rested against his chest, eyes drifting closed. "You're a good father," Selena said softly. Marcus looked down. "I'm trying. That's all it takes." In the weeks that followed, Selena visited the garage more often. Always with reasons, parts, schedules, but she lingered. Marcus began saving Layla's best moments for her. How she danced to the hum of the compressor, her obsession with paper towels. Selena laughed more, stayed longer, kept coming back. Something grew. Not romance, not yet, but something warm, real. Marcus, who had kept the world away, now listened for her footsteps. Selena, who trusted only herself, waited for his quiet morning. In that grease-scented space of engines and giggles, between sick days and soft thank yous, a friendship began. Not because they were broken, but because in each other's eyes they finally felt seen. It started with a photo. A grainy snapshot posted online with a caption dripping with poison. Selena James, elegant and composed, kneeling beside a rusty pickup, holding a baby girl in a faded pink blanket. The moment had been innocent, private. Marcus fumbling with the car seat straps, Selena scooping Layla into her arms with practiced ease. She had smiled. Layla had laughed. Someone captured it. By morning the image was everywhere. Billionaire CEO cradles poor man's baby. Real compassion or PR stunt? Rich woman, poor child. Is Selena James playing savior? CEO uses struggling single dad to rebrand humanity. Headlines screamed. Opinions poured in. Some praised her. Most did not. Talk shows speculated. Trolls tore her apart. Investors asked questions. Selena read it all in silence at her high-rise desk, scrolling through the endless feed, her face unreadable. Her phone buzzed every 30 seconds. Margaret trying to get through. Reporters demanding statements. Crisis managers offering spin. Selena answered none of them. She closed the laptop, stood and walked to the window. Her reflection stared back, polished, successful, poised. But inside, she felt like the orphan girl again, invisible and alone. That afternoon, Marcus was under the hood of a van when his phone buzzed on the workbench. He wiped his hands on a rag, glanced at the screen. A news alert. Then another. And another. Selena's name smeared across headlines. Layla's photo online for the world to see. He froze. Fury boiled in his chest. Not because they used his image, but because they had turned her into a villain. He dropped the wrench, wiped his hands, and headed straight for the main building. The receptionist at James' Baby hesitated as Marcus stormed into the lobby. He had no appointment. He didn't need one. "I need to see Selena. Now." His voice left no room for argument. 2 minutes later, the elevator doors opened on the executive floor. Selena looked up as Marcus walked in. She hadn't expected anyone, least of all him. Her eyes were tired, makeup faintly smudged like she'd rubbed away tears and pretended she hadn't. Marcus shut the door. "You don't have to take this alone," he said firmly. She blinked. "It's fine." "No, it's not," he snapped, then softened. "They're dragging your name through the mud, using me, using Layla." Selena turned away. "It will pass." Marcus shook his head. "That doesn't mean you have to let it." Silence stretched. Then Selena exhaled, shaky. "I'm not crying because of the headlines," she whispered. For the first time her voice trembled. Marcus stepped closer. "I'm crying because for once someone spoke up for me," she said. "You did." He said nothing more. Selena looked up, her eyes shimmering. "When I was a kid, I dreamed someone would stand between me and the world, just once. Not because they had to, but because they wanted to." Marcus swallowed hard. "You just did that," she finished, voice cracking. And the walls she had built began to crumble. "I didn't do anything special," Marcus said quietly. "You showed up," she answered. "That's more than most ever did." For a moment they simply stood there, two people who had carried their own weight too long, realizing they didn't always have to. Outside, the city roared with scandal. But in that office it was quiet. Real. And for the first time in years, Selena James let herself feel safe. The envelope arrived the next morning, tucked between an overdue bill and a flyer for discount tires. Marcus almost tossed it, then saw the logo. James' Baby. He tore it open with a calloused thumb. A formal letter, thick cream paper, signed in blue ink. "We would like to offer you the position of Logistics Operations Manager. Full-time benefits included. Start date flexible." Marcus sat on the couch, letter in his lap like something too heavy to hold. "Manager. Not a temp mechanic." Not a side gig. A leader. He looked across the room at Layla, curled on the floor with her giraffe and a blanket that still carried Selena's perfume. He wanted to say yes. But the old voices whispered, "You're not qualified. You're not that guy. They'll find out who you really are." He folded the letter, slid it back into the envelope. That evening he stayed late at the garage, turned off the lights, locked up, drove home slowly, windshield wipers clicking against light drizzle. The sky had turned an unforgiving gray. Rain fell in sheets, soaking the cracked sidewalk and faded welcome mat outside Marcus's small apartment. He was feeding Layla when the knock came, steady, not loud. He opened the door. Selena stood there, blonde curls damp, her coat clinging. In her arms, a thick navy blanket lined with fleece. "For Layla," she said. Marcus stepped aside silently. The apartment was modest, clean, a single lamp casting warm light across the room. Selena bent down and draped the blanket over Layla, who reached for it immediately and smiled. Marcus stood by the counter, unsure what to say. "I got your letter," he finally managed. "I figured you did. You didn't have to come." "I know," she said. He hesitated. "I'm not sure I can do that job." Selena studied him, then walked closer, careful, like approaching someone fragile. She reached for his hand. "Marcus," she said softly, "don't walk away from someone who believes in you." His throat tightened. "I've made mistakes. So have I. I dropped out of college. Never finished a thing I started. But you," she squeezed his hand, "you raised a child alone. You fix what's broken. You show up. That counts." Marcus blinked hard, fighting the sting in his eyes. "I'm not used to this. Someone seeing more than what's on the surface." "I see you," Selena whispered. Something broke open inside him. He lowered his head and let the tears fall, silent, unshaken, as if they'd waited for years. Selena wrapped her arms around him, steady and firm. She didn't let go. Neither did he. For the first time in a long time, Marcus Green let someone share the weight. And when the rain finally stopped and Selena turned to go, he said two words that changed everything. "I'm in." The city shimmered below like a sea of glass and light, but Selena James wasn't looking at it. She sat alone on the rooftop terrace of James' baby headquarters, the wind teasing loose strands of her curls. In her hand, the small silver locket, worn, scratched, dulled with time. Inside, faint letters, J. Green. She opened it gently. The fire. The smoke. The boy's voice. She had carried this for over 20 years, always wondering if she would ever find him, ever say thank you. That night she sent Marcus a message. "Can you meet me on the rooftop tomorrow morning? There's something I need to ask." His reply came quickly. "Sure. I'll be there." The next morning, Marcus stepped onto the rooftop just after sunrise. A chill hung in the air. His jacket zipped halfway, grease still faint on his sleeves. Selena was already waiting, arms loosely crossed. She looked at him for a long moment, then asked, "Marcus, what's your full name?" He blinked. "Marcus Green." She reached into her pocket and placed the locket in her palm. "Does this look familiar?" Marcus stepped closer. His expression shifted the instant he saw it. He picked it up carefully, opened it. "I haven't seen this in over 20 years, he murmured. "This was mine. My mom gave it to me when I was little." His eyes lifted. "Where did you get it?" Selena's voice was soft. "There was a fire at my orphanage. I was trapped upstairs. I couldn't breathe. I thought I was going to die." Marcus's eyes widened. "I remember that fire. I lived nearby, saw the smoke. Someone said a girl was still inside." He trailed off. "You?" Selena nodded, eyes shining. "You kicked the door in. You were just a boy. You threw your jacket over me and said," Marcus whispered, "I got you. You're safe now." Her breath caught. "You were him. I never knew who you were." Marcus shook his head slowly, still stunned. "All I knew was you were scared, and I had to get you out. And this," Selena pointed to the locket, "was still in my hand when they carried me out." Marcus reached into his wallet and pulled out a folded, yellowed scrap of paper. He handed it to her. She opened it. A rough evacuation list, scribbled at the bottom in a child's hand. "Blonde girl, room 14. Saved." "I kept that ever since," Marcus said. "I always wondered what happened to you." Selena's throat tightened. She stepped closer, gently leaning her head against his shoulder. Marcus froze, then slowly took her hand. They stood there together, wrapped in silence, surrounded by wind and sky. Below, the city kept moving. But up on that rooftop, time had paused. "You saved my life," Selena whispered. "And you gave mine back," Marcus replied. She smiled faintly. Maybe we belonged to each other all along. Just didn't know how to find our way back. Marcus didn't answer. He only held her hand tighter. And as the morning sun broke over the skyline, something lost long ago was finally found. 1 year later, the garage was gone, replaced by a glass-walled office on the 3rd floor of James Baby's operations wing. But Marcus still showed up early, coffee in one hand, toolbox in the other, just in case. His new title, Director of Logistics and Community Outreach. But most people still just called him Marcus. In the past year, life had shifted. He had gone from a worn-out couch to helping build programs that changed lives. His proudest project, a workshop. At the back of headquarters, where loading docks once stood, now stood a space he had designed, Second Chance. A skills program for single parents. Free training, childcare, hot meals, job placement. Everything he had once needed, now offered freely. Selena had trusted him from day one. You know what it should be. Build it your way, she'd said. So he did. Twice a week, Marcus taught moms and dads how to fix cars, hold a wrench, and believe in themselves. They came uncertain, left with oil-streaked hands and lifted chins. He saw himself in each of them. That morning, Selena stood with Layla at the curb of her preschool. The little girl, now taller and chattier, still inseparable from her giraffe. Marcus approached just as Selena kissed her forehead. "Ready?" he asked. Selena smiled, took his hand. "Always." They walked back to the car. No rush, no stress, just steady love. That afternoon, Selena stood behind a podium at James Baby's new community wing. A few press, a few staff. Cameras clicked softly. "Today is more than the launch of a charity," she began. "It's a promise that no parent should feel alone, and no child should go without." She turned, gesturing toward Marcus. "I'm proud to introduce the new CEO of the Second Chance Foundation. A man who knows what it means to fall, and rise again. Marcus Green." Applause rose gently. Marcus stepped forward. No tie, just a crisp shirt and quiet strength. "I used to think survival was enough," he said. "Just getting through the day. But someone showed me life is more than that. It's about being seen. About having someone believe in you when you don't believe in yourself." He glanced at Selena. "She didn't save me. She stood beside me. That's what second chances are about, standing beside someone until they can stand on their own." The applause this time came with misty eyes. Later, when the lights and speeches were done, Marcus, Selena, and Layla sat on a park bench. The sunset bathed the trees in gold. The breeze smelled like cut grass. Layla slept in Marcus's arms, wrapped in the same navy blanket Selena had once brought on a stormy night. Selena rested her head on his shoulder, one hand on Layla's back, the other curled into his. They said nothing. They didn't need to. This wasn't a fairy tale, not a perfect ending. It was something better. It was real. A father who almost gave up. A woman who never stopped searching. A little girl who brought them together. And a second chance that made them whole. If this story moved you, reminded you of the quiet strength and kindness and second chances, don't let it be the last. Subscribe to Stories of Becoming for more true-to-the-heart tales that heal, inspire, and stay with you long after the screen fades. Because somewhere out there, someone just like Marcus, Selena, or little Layla is still waiting, for hope, for love, for a moment that changes everything.